Then on the second part, I think that our elders are also power clingers. It's an African thing. You want to hold on to power until you die. But that said, I think there were legitimate grounds for the Senate. Kudos to the Senate for rejecting his nomination on grounds of his confession as to how far away from modern reality he is.
Well, a step further would have been, I don't know, is it the role of the Senate or anybody to further equip him in his role? Because he might not be computer savvy. The national anthem, I don't know how he can escape that, but I think there are other ways to complement people of his nature with maybe a younger assistant or I don't know, someone to help along the way.
That said, I know people of his age that's as computer savvy as myself.
Of course.
So I don't think it's really about the numbers attached to his age. I think it's really about him as a person being removed from the reality of the modern era.
Well, wish him all the best, I guess. Let's move on to this. Justice has been served 5 years later. The story of the Nasarawa State University postgraduate student murdered by her Facebook friends, talking about Cynthia Kogu. They've been sentenced to death. They've been charged by the state and sentenced to death for murder. She was killed July 22nd, 2012 at Cosmela Hotel, Lakeview Estate, Festac Town. The issue of death penalty now, do you think this was in line with?
Yes, the only problem I have with that is it took 5 years. 5 years of uncertainty, 5 years of the family grieving and hoping that there will be closure. So 5 years is a long time. But then it's better 5 years of due diligence to ensure that the right people are convicted than to hurry, and then convict the wrong people. So kudos to the judiciary. I think no man, what you cannot give, you have no right to take. If you take a life that you cannot give back, it's natural justice that you deserve no less than what you've done. It's condolence to the families, and I hope that they find peace. And may the soul of the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace, as my Catholic brothers will say.
Okay, just touch briefly on the issue of death penalty. We have Amnesty International, other international bodies who still, to a large extent United Nations, who still frown against the death penalty. In this particular country, do you think if it serves the purpose, then it should still remain?
See, the idea of justice is that the penalty should
be measurable to the crime.
It should compare to the crime. So you killed a man. You cannot have paid for that enough if you paid anything less than your life. That's natural justice. What you took, you should be able to give back. And the equivalent of that is your life. You had no right to take it. And therefore, the system has the right to take from you as well that which you took illegally from another person. So I do not think it's open to nuances. It is supposed, and justice again is supposed to be a deterrent. So if I know that I can kill you, take a life sentence, and after a while go out on whatever good behavior, or call it what's it called in the US now,
bail.
Not really bail. You serve some time, and then if you're behaving very well,
basically release that.
And then you're released
behavior
on certain condition. There is a future for me. If I take a life sentence, then as the family of the deceased, I would ask myself, was this really justice? Do I want to see the killer of my child alive? See, that's the whole point of justice. You cannot remove justice from the people, their norms, their nuances, their culture. In ancient times, you will be executed on the spot. In fact, the families of the deceased would carry out that execution to give them a feeling of reprieve. And this is the context that I believe in. It should be such that you have no right to take a life, no reason to think of taking a life, unless you're ready to give yours back.
All right. Well, let's move from the taking of lives to those who take their own lives. This story made the rounds basically for a week now. Medical doctor commits suicide by jumping in Lagos Lagoon. That's Orwell Orgy, jump 3rd Mainland Bridge. It's still very sketchy as to what prompted it, but there's been this awakening or awareness of depression, and there were also similar incidents about 2-3 days ago of another woman, and then there was one of a university student as well, all this week. Well, we're going to talk about this in the next part of the program, but while you're here, what do you think is responsible for this barrage of suicides?
I'm not an expert, in psychology or psychiatry or, the human mind. But what I can say is depression is real. The current economic recession has aggravated that, and people are giving up. Friendships have deteriorated because everyone is struggling. That social, I call it a social safety net or a social security, a cultural social security, where we all look out for each other. You don't have 1 naira, I give you. We give each other 5 naira for fuel. When all of us are stressed at the same time, that ability to support is going away. For this doctor, I'm not going to pretend that I know all of the issues that brought him to the point where he took this decision, and condolence to the family. I believe the family is grieving enough, and I shouldn't be adding my voice to the voice of conjectures and all of that, but it's unfortunate. And my message to Nigerians would be, let's look out for each other a little bit more. Let the bond of friendship be stronger now, so that we keep each other's heads afloat. It can't last long. We see, economically speaking, a bit of change. We hope that can be sustained. So let's hold each other's hands and get through all of this.
All right, Leonard, thank you very much for being on the show. Really appreciate that. Wow, such a short time. Still have so much more to talk about, but hopefully we'll have you back sooner than later.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Oscar.
Still Rubbing Minds. We'll be back after the break. The issue of suicide, we'll take a look at that. What is responsible for people taking their lives? How do you detect depression? Social media gives the illusion to most people that everything is okay, but what goes on in the minds of people? We'll talk more about that after the break right here on Rubbing Minds. Stick around.